Hi, everybody. How's it going? Wow, this week it's already been crazy for me. But first off, hey, I want to thank everybody for showing up. I want to thank everybody for contributing to the comments. First off, hey, I want to thank everybody for showing up. I'm still getting. I want to thank everybody for yeah, so obviously I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out, but thank God I have Seth. Anyway, I just want to thank everybody for showing up and all of those kinds of things. And today we're going to get hot and heavy into this trans kids thing. So, as you all know, I'm, maybe I'll wait for a couple more people to come on. But, as you know, I am very outspoken, and I want you to all know I'm outspoken for a reason. For a reason. And the reason I'm outspoken is so that I can encourage you to be outspoken as well. I don't understand how we got to a space, and not only in the trans community, but everywhere. How are we in a space where we're not allowed to have an opinion that does not connect with your community, your tribe, your whatever? I will not stand for that. And I really feel like, as an older person who has lived in this community for many years, it is my duty to stand up and encourage you all to stand up. And you are allowed to have it. I might not agree with you. And in fact, I probably don't agree with probably not many people here, but I don't agree with everybody. And it doesn't mean I hate you. It means I disagree with you. And to disagree is how we find the solution. Do you not want a solution? Do you want to just keep going in a space of hate? Do you want to keep just pushing trans rights or human rights? Everybody already knows that. We all know trans rights are human rights. We all know gay rights. We all know everyone's rights are humans' rights. But if we keep putting this message out there that trans people don't have rights, that trans people are the most marginal, that's actually wrong. And it's actually disrespectful to other marginalized communities. There are many people in this world who don't fit in. There's many people in this world that are scared to speak out. There's many people in this world that follow. Hey, thanks so much for showing up, everybody. I appreciate it. I'm just kind of doing a little rant before we go into the trans kids things. But that being said, I'm here because I care, not because I feel like I need to be here, like telling you how it is. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to encourage you to stand up for your beliefs, not my beliefs, not their beliefs, but your belief. And if your belief somehow goes against anybody else's belief, that does not make you a bad person. That makes you a person who actually has a different opinion. I stand so middle ground these days. It's actually not a great space to be in on some level. You get poked at. I'm the bear. The bear keeps getting poked at. I get poked at all the time because I stand in a middle ground. I believe in conversation. I believe in and having this desire to push back on something I don't agree with. And I will not be told how to speak, and I will not be told what to think. I don't do that, and I have never done it. Do you know that I transitioned 30 years ago? When people told me I was nuts, when people told me you can't do it, when people told me you'll never be this, I did it. I actually did it. I achieved what I wanted to achieve, not what you want me to achieve. That's the weird thing that I'm not understanding. Why do I have to be a person that you want me to be? Why? I mean, I don't understand that, and I never will understand that. And if you understand my message is stand up. So okay, thanks. That Seth says, hold on, I'm going to show this question. What do they mean by trans rights? They never go into specifics. Great. What kind of trans should get what right? There is a generation of kids claiming to be trans because yeah, I mean, we can get into that. What does trendy mean, right? What does that mean? On some level, I do believe in social contagion. I do, because I've seen it with my own eyes, and we all are. So, trendy tends to be And trendy is social contagion, right? But I think what happens when we call it trendy is people get upset because they feel like, you're discounting them. So I try to use more of a word or words that say social contagion, which is also kind of negative on some level. But what I see is young people, mostly young people, who are being persuaded by a group of other people. That's a club, right? We've all been there. We've all been young people where we've been persuaded to join this way of being, right? With this way of being, because you will be better. You will be more liked. Who doesn't like to be liked? Who doesn't like affirmation, right? Affirmation. Kids are getting affirmation because they are trans. You and I both know it. Let's not pretend like that's not happening. You and I both know it. Many of these kids are getting petted. They're getting stroked. They're being told how amazing they are because, wow, it takes bravery to become trans. How brave of you. Who wouldn't want to be a part of a brave movement, right? Who wouldn't want to be a part of something that is new and happening and cool? And oh my God, you have a trans kid. This is why I say, why are we in everybody's mouths? Why is trans on the topics, on the topic list, top of the topic list of politics? Why have we now become a political space? This is not political. This is a life-saving space that in order for me to become who I needed to be, for you to see me, and for me to live in this world, chill and walk around and create jobs and do all the things I do now because you see me as me. That's all transition is supposed to do. It's not supposed to be a political space. It's not supposed to be trendy. It's not supposed to be something that you join in on. It's never been that. It's always been a space where you are feeling out of your body, disconnected. You feel as if you're male or female. Non-binary, I don't know anything about. So don't ask me. I don't know anything about non-binary. I'm not non-binary. I have lots of non-binary friends. It's a choice. I can tell you the difference between a transsexual person and a non-binary person is choice. I did not make this choice. This is a medical space. Non-binary is a choice. People choose to be non-binary. So, thanks for joining. I see you, my friend. Thank you so much. I'm happy that you had a chance to join me this morning. So now moving on, because I know why you all are here. I know why you're all here. Trans kids. What the heck is that? What is a trans kid? Does anybody in this space right now have a trans kid? Or are you pro trans kids? And I'd love to know more about why we are calling children trans. I do think non-binary is a choice. I 100% do. There's no dysphoria attached to it. Let me show that. You think non-binary is a choice, Lisa says. Yes, I do. You can push back on me, friend, right now. But I do think it's a choice. It is an actual identity choice. This is not an identity choice. This is an actual medical. I don't live as a trans. My transness is not my identity. My identity is male. I have what you call gender dysphoria. In order for me to move forward, my gender dysphoria needed to be corrected in a physical space in order for me to be able to walk the world. So no, I am not choosing to live as a trans person. I am a medicalized trans person. Does that make sense? And in no way, shape, or form am I discounting your choice to be non-binary. That is 100% your choice as an adult. You get to do that. You get to have all the choices. You non-binary on T. Again, a choice. Again, a choice. You're choosing to be non-binary on T. Do you have a diagnosis of gender dysphoria? Big difference. I'm wondering if you actually have a diagnosis of gender dysphoria, then you're actually transgender. You're actually transgender, right? But that being said, choose all the labels you want, kids, people, whoever you are, humans, I don't care, even animals. Choose your identity. It's 100% what you need to do for you. But let's go back to the kids. Let's go back to the kids. Okay, because I don't want to get derailed here. It's really important. I don't care what adults do. Everybody in this room knows that about me. I do not care what you do as an adult. If you make the wrong choice, I feel bad for you. I do, but I don't. It's not my space. You have had many opportunities to do your due diligence, to talk to other people, to figure out what this even means for you before you move forward and transition as an adult. And if you're not doing that, you have to take responsibility for the fact that you didn't do your research and you fucked up. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying as an adult, we need to start saying there's a difference between a trans adult and a child. I do not believe that children make those choices. I think the parent is making the choice. Now, that being said, it's fucked up that a parent needs to make that choice right now. It is not okay that we're putting all of this pressure on a parent to transition their trans children. I know for a fact, and it's a fact, you can look it up, and maybe Seth can get it for me. But that being said, there is research that shows if you do not give a child puberty blockers, they will desist from that space and grow up to be perfectly in their biological sex. If you give a child puberty blockers, they most definitely will go on to cross-sex hormones. Duh. Duh. I mean, that's so obvious. So why are we giving kids hormones? And why do we want kids to be trans? Because that's what I see. I wouldn't want anybody to be trans. I'm not kidding. This isn't fun. And this desire to talk about how amazing it is to be trans is ridiculous. It's not amazing to be trans. It's life-saving. It created a space for me to walk the world, but in no way, shape, or form would I want anybody else to have gender dysphoria unless they actually have it, if that makes sense. So when we have children who are saying they're boys or saying they're girls, that's called what? What? Children. Children have some, maybe the child has dysphoria. But I just told you, if we don't give that child puberty blockers, that child will go through normal puberty. Yes, normal, healthy puberty, and get to the other side and literally go on and live their life as the biological sex they were. Why wouldn't you want that? I don't understand why we wouldn't want that. That's what I want. I don't want the child. Shouldn't we be trying to fix the problem? It's a problem. I have a problem. I have a medical problem. I have a medical diagnosis. Why wouldn't we want to fix it instead of actually on some level encourage it? We are encouraging people to have dysphoria. We are encouraging people to live in this space. With everything I'm trying in my brain, in my old man brain, I'm really trying to understand, why would people think it's better to transition a child than to let the child get through the puberty like we all do and get to the other side, and then let's let the child make that choice, right? So wait a minute here. I saw something I really want to read. I'm going to show it so I can read it out loud. I have a 13-year-old niece and a 13-year-old cousin. Both think they are think. Keyword is think. They are trans boys. I'm sad. They're too young. And they didn't start feeling that way until 12. But here's the great question I'm going to have, and I hope somebody can help me with this. You see what this person wrote right there? Think they are trans. Why do they think they're trans? Where are they getting that language? Where's the language coming from is what I think I want to ask. How are children 12 and 13 as a kid? I have a 10-year-old. 12 and 13 as a kid, even 18 to me as a kid. But that being said, where are the kids getting the language, I'm trans? I never heard of that when I was a kid. I don't even think 10 years ago these kids had that language. Do you all understand what I'm trying to say? Okay, I see the answer. Right on. Here we go. That's the answer. Not only is that the answer, but friends are the answer. We have groups of trans kids who are on some level telling other kids. And how do I know this? I talk to these people. And they tell me, oh, their friends kept telling them because I felt more masculine as a girl. They kept just immediately telling me I'm trans. Their own friends are diagnosing them as trans. Their own friends. So that about, oh, here, let's see this one. Buck, I recall you and Blair speaking about dysphoria not being a required for transition to begin. Is it still in the DSM? So here's the deal. It's not anymore. Isn't that insane? I think they actually took that out. I'm not 100% sure, but maybe Seth or somebody here, but I do think that's why they go around saying, you don't need dysphoria to be trans. What? Why would you Why would you want to be trans? I don't understand. Help me. Help this old man who struggled with my dysphoria. And it's the most horrible space to be in. Dysphoria sucks. And there's levels of dysphoria. There's really bad dysphoria all the way down to, well, I can manage it without transitioning. There's in the middle. But dysphoria comes in all shapes and sizes. It doesn't necessarily mean you're trans. It could be some other kind of dysphoria. So that being said, for example, what about a person who has anorexia, right? Isn't that considered sort of like body dysmorphia or some level? It's a dysphoric feeling that you're disconnected from your body. Now, does that make everyone who is in that eating disorder space trans because they hate their body? That's what you're telling me. You're telling me that anyone who hates their body or anyone who has a distance from this stuff is immediately labeled as trans. When a child comes into the space and says, oh my gosh, mom, I want to be a boy because boys X, Y, and Z. Oh, immediately you're trans. Absurdity beyond anything I can comprehend. Anything I can comprehend. Remember gender stereotypes, people. Gender stereotypes is something we have worked forever, including myself, to just dissipate, get rid of. Girls can wear pants, boys can wear skirts, boys can have nail polish, girls can play with trucks. It does not make you trans. I really want to understand why we, as a community of people, want to push young, vulnerable people, lots of times who have some form of mental illness, maybe even autism, maybe there's studies on it, right? BPD, all kinds of things that are going on with these kids because I'm interviewing them and they have all kinds of mental health problems. And that we're equating these mental health problems immediately to transgender. What? What? I Does anybody in this room have a trans kid? Here, wait. Let me get Seth to put something up here. Gender dysphoria, significant distress, impairment related to gender incongruence, which may include desire to change sex characteristics. Not all transgender people experience That's a bunch of bullshit. Right there. Right there. Right there. Bullshit. Anyone who is transgender has gender dysphoria. If you do not have gender dysphoria, why are you trans? Why would you even think about transitioning? This is the scary shit that I keep seeing coming out of the transgender agenda. That's an agenda. Why would they say that, people? Why would they say that? Why would they say you don't need gender dysphoria to be trans? So here, I know, here's another great. DSM-5 says, okay, wow. DMS-5, I knew it. DSM-5 says gender dysphoria isn't required. What are we doing? Really, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Who does this help? Who does this actually help? Nobody. Because I'm going to say it. The dirty word you all want to hide. Detransitioners. It's the dirty word you all want to hide. The reason we have detransitioners is not only what this is right here, this gender dysphoria isn't required. And now we're doing, I saw somebody write something that was really great. And now we're doing what we like to call, let me find it real quick here. I see you, my friend. I see you. I see you. Here it is. Here it comes. Here it comes. Therapists. Therapists. Affirmation therapists. Are you kidding? Is that therapy? Why would you affirm? Why would you affirm something a little person, a little teeny person with a brain that's only 10 years on development walks into your office and says, I'm trans? And you as a therapist go, okay, great. You know who you are. Now we're going to move forward on puberty blockers and hormones. Nothing. That's it. That's all that happens in that therapist office. That's it. Because you're not allowed to question a child's, we're talking about children here. We're not talking about adults. We're talking about children. A child's desire to be trans. They didn't say, I feel like a boy. I feel like a girl. I'm not sure what I am. They're saying I feel trans. Doesn't that in some way, why is that making me think I don't understand how a 10-year-old got the word trans in their mouth? And I don't understand if that 10-year-old even understands what it means to be trans. Do you all understand what I'm saying? Because I didn't know trans, and that's not what I said. Now, not to say that I'm the only tranny in the world. You could probably ask any other trans person in this room. Did they ever say, I'm trans? Most of us all said we felt like boy or girl. Some of us desisted out of it, moved out of it. Some of us didn't because we were left alone. We were left alone to find our space. The struggle, come on, man. What struggle? Everyone has struggle. If we're trying to block trans kids from having struggle, we're going to be in a big problem. Big problem. Because when you think you're fixing one problem, guess what happens? Another problem pops up. You think I don't have any problems? I have lots of problems as a transsexual man. It didn't alleviate everything in the world for me. It didn't stop problems that I have. It gave me a new set of problems. So this idea that transitioning a child all of a sudden says, we know what's going on with this kid. Now they're going to move forward in the world and they're going to be amazing human beings and they're going to find their space. Really? You actually think that? Then I'm going to tell you this and I'm going to question you this. I'm going to question you this. What happens when that child says, whoops, guess what? I'm not really trans and I don't really feel this way. I was sucked into it because the therapist didn't push back on me. The therapist, the adult in the room, the medical professional that you as a child relied on to help you find your space did not do their fucking job. They did something profoundly irresponsible. They affirmed what a 10-year-old said. How is that possible, people? How? I don't understand how we're in this space. We cannot have affirmative therapy. We have to have therapy. We have to have a time for this child to talk to a therapist in a private space and say things that they're too scared to say to their parents, or they're just not sure what's going on. And the therapist helps them to verbalize why they feel like they're trans. What does that mean to them? What do they think will happen in this? That's what therapy is. That's what I got. You think my therapist just affirmed me and said, okay, yeah, Buck, yep, you're trans? No fucking way. That therapist said, what? What does that even mean? My therapist said, what does it mean to be a man, Buck? What do you mean you feel like a man? That was a great question. I was stumped. I was actually stumped. Try to answer that question for yourself right now. What does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean to be a man? These are very important questions. I'm not talking about biology. We all know biology. I'm talking about What does it mean? What did it mean for me to want to be a man? What did it mean for me to feel like a man? I always ask that. I still ask that question today. I ask myself that question that therapist put in my brain. Thank God. Then after 2 years of that therapy, every week going in, every week sitting down, new shit coming out, trauma coming out. This is what happened when I was growing up. Why do I feel like I need to look like this kind of man? What does it mean, Buck? She kept asking me, what does it mean? Hey, Nova Scotia, thanks for joining us. What does it mean? Ask these questions to children. Don't just affirm them and say, oh, because a kid says I'm X, Y, and Z. Whoop, they're X, Y, and Z. That's a bunch of crap. You are doing a disservice to children when you don't push back on them, or at least give them a space to have more conversation about it so that their whole mind is around it, and their whole mind is having a conversation around it, and they're thinking about what this means. And this idea and this lie that I keep seeing out there that says if you don't give a child puberty blockers, they'll kill themselves. Go fuck yourself. How dare you manipulate parents? How dare you manipulate the conversation? And how dare you act as if every single child is the same? You are not going here. Somebody said something really great here, and I agree with you. You said affirmative therapy is a result of laziness. Laziness. My 13-year-old niece only got video therapy. How is good therapy that can go deep if the therapist cannot see your body language? Thank you. I appreciate you being so honest about that. Look at that. We, not only as parents, but we as transsexual people are being put in a space to have to step up here, because I give a fuck about these kids, and I will not be a part of something that I see turning in down the road to such a disastrous space, not only for the whole community, but for these young people who are going to. Now, there's going to be some kids, we know it. There's going to be some kids that are going to go through this system of affirmation, puberty blockers, whatever the hell else they're doing. They're going to make it through the system. But are we going to check in with them in 20 years? Are we? But there's going to be a lot more of these kids that are going to come into this situation and be fucked for life. Not only their brain, their physical space. Don't you dare tell me you don't see kids getting top surgery. I'm so sick and tired of the lies of these people coming in, especially allies. Allies. If there are allies in this room, you better step down, because you are not doing us a service when you start to say the lies and the shit that these people in this community are doing. You're not doing your due diligence. And if you don't understand both sides of the conversation, you shouldn't be saying anything. Because at some point, your voice does count. And it gets counted in a way that fucks us up. We cannot be put in a position where we as a transsexual community are now having to talk about transitioning little children, when little children don't know who they are. I don't care. And this idea that I knew who I was. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Don't speak for me. Yeah, I did want to be a boy. Yeah, I felt more comfortable acting and being Buck when I was a kid. No doubt about it. I will always talk about that. No doubt. I was that tomboy kid, but at the same time, they all called me the boy name, and it was perfectly okay. But I grew into my puberty. Ooh, stressful. Ooh, stressful. I bet every single one of you could say the same thing. Oh, puberty was horrifying. And I came through it, and I lived a life of a lot of things. No one said my life was easy. No one said that life is easy. No one said that everything is going to go your way. That's not true. So I think what we're telling children is anything you want, you can have. That's just not true. That is not true. We're telling kids the wrong message. We're also saying to be trans is beautiful. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Why is trans beautiful? I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee. I want somebody here. I want somebody here to tell me why trans is beautiful. This is a great question, but I really want you all. Also, answer me here so I can put you up here because I want to know if anyone understands this hashtag and this idea that trans is beautiful. I would really like to know what that means because to me it feels like indoctrinated language. It feels like if you become trans, your whole life is beautiful. It's misinformation. It's misguided. It's misguiding people. It's not beautiful. It's stressful, it's difficult, it's medicalized. You know, you've got to live in this trans space for the rest of your life. You'll always be trans. You'll always think about it. I think about it. Even though I'm done, I'm past, it's still in my brain. I don't walk the world thinking, oh, my whole life is better now because on some level it is, but it's still in my brain. Buck, Moth Mama says, Buck, if you could take a pill that would cure dysphoria, would you? Well, I kind of do now. My testosterone shots, they have on some level cured my dysphoria. I don't have hardly anywhere near. Every once in a while, something flames up there, but you know what I mean? But it's a great question, and I'm not really sure I could answer that. I mean, I could probably say, yeah, I wouldn't want to have to go through the trauma that I went through living life this way on some level, right? But at the same time, I came through it, right? So it's a hard question to answer because now that's a story. All of the stuff I lived is now just a story. That's over there. I don't even live in that space anymore, and I have a beautiful life today. So is trans beautiful because I have a beautiful life? Well, no, I don't want to put that. Hey, thanks, Al. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, friend. That means a lot. Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks, kiddo. Yeah. So, so these questions kind of are hypothetical, of course, right? They're hypothetical. If we could all just be born and live our lives without having any turmoil, who wouldn't choose that? Who wouldn't choose that? But one of the things I want to tell you is this: I would have chosen to be born male. 100%. I would have never chosen to be a trans person. I would have never chosen to go through this path. I would have never chosen to be here speaking about being trans. None of this. I would have never chose it. If they gave me the choice to be born biologically male or to be a transsexual man, I would have chosen biological male in a heartbeat. There's no doubt about that. But here I sit, and I sit here because I made it through. And it's on some level my duty to sit here and have this conversation with you and to put myself out there to the world that says, hey, wait a minute. This isn't the journey some of these people are trying to tell you it is. It's not. It's a lie. And remember, everybody's experience is different. My experience is different than your experience. But why does your experience get to be at the top of the food chain? Because you're in that space of trans is beautiful, and my transition gets to be pushed at the bottom because I'm not following, right? I'm not following this whole idea of trans is beautiful. You see what I'm talking about there? Yeah, Buck, what can we do here? This is a good one. Buck, what can we do to help these kids that are being dropped by the trans community as well as the mental health community after they decide? Thanks, Ashley. Oh, thank you so much for that question. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. I just can't stand it. It's something that I can't wrap my head around it. I can't. I guess what I want to say is this. The community has become fake. There is no community. This proves it right here. This proves it. There is no community. It's either you're on our side or their side. And if you choose to detransition for whatever reason, you are no longer on our side, and we will beat you up. We will bully you. We will take you out. That's the most transphobic, incredibly disgusting, hateful, non-community like bullshit I have ever seen in my life. And I've been in this community for a long time. I do not understand why we would act so insane about people who were in a space that we are in and realize they made a wrong turn. Why do you all so angry about? Why are you angry at somebody else's mistake? What does that have to do with you? That's what I don't understand. So to answer your question, Ashley, it is now my desire to bring these voices to my platform because these voices are being shut down by the community. And I know I'm not part of that community. I'm not. I don't want to be. That's not my tribe. I'm a tribal person. I like tribes. I like people who are loving. I like people who have conversation. I like critical thinking. I like different types of people. I don't just have trans people in my life. I have all groups of people in my life. I have probably one of the actually most diverse, diverse friendship base. I don't hang with trans people. I have very few trans friends, to be honest with you. But that being said, why is that community speaking for me? I don't agree with them. I agree that we need to help these people. I agree that detransitioners are golden to us on some level, and they can help us so that this doesn't happen anymore. But I'm going to say right here, and I say it all the time, mark my words, it's far from over. If you think the detransition rate is peaked, you're fucking kidding yourself. It is growing daily. And the younger ones are coming up now. The younger kids, the ones why we are having this conversation. The reason we are having this conversation is because you think it's that simple. You think transitioning a child at 10, there's not going to be some fucking problems? Not only physically medical problems, mental problems. And what if this child changes their mind? Who's responsible for that? I really want to know. Why are these detransitioners detransitioning and nobody's helping them? Where's the medical world? Where's the medical world that threw the drugs at them? Where's the medical world that gave them surgery on a whim? Oh, you're trans. Here you go. Every single one of them tells me the same thing. All they had to do was go to a online meeting or go to Planned Parenthood or go to some affirmative therapist. Literally the same day they got hormones. Within weeks, they were getting top surgery. Don't you dare tell me that's not happening. I actually factually know that. And I have no problem posting it wherever you need to. If you want, Seth, do me a favor. Can you put pubertyblockerssuck.org? I know the person who created this website. They were on Lupron for years. It destroyed their body. This woman is outspoken about the disgusting shit that Lupron does. And you want to give that to kids? Pubertyblockerssuck.org. Go right there. All the information is there. I don't need to tell you otherwise. But if you're not willing to do your research and you're just willing to say trans kids exist, you're part of the problem. Because trans kids don't exist. That is a complete bullshit. You know what exists? Kids with dysphoria, kids who are confused, kids who have some kind of mental illness, kids who have some kind of disorder, kids who are dealing with being a kid. I can go on and on and on, but you just want to label the kids straight out the gate as trans. You're doing a disservice, not only to the trans community, but to those children. How dare you put parents in a space to make such a life-altering choice for their child? How dare you manipulate a parent's way of thinking? How dare you force a parent to make a choice that is not only lifelong, but will affect the relationship between that child and that parent? Did somebody just put, where I just saw you. You put something about Jazz Jennings, right? So, you know, I feel for her. I just, my heart goes out to that young lady. You know, I think it probably was the worst thing she ever did. Look at Jazz. She has had, I mean, not her transition, being on a television show. Being on a television show. Look at Jazz. She has had a horrific experience for all the perceived benefits of passing. Oh, God. The trade-off most certainly isn't worth it. But here's Jazz, the head of the trans space, telling everybody she trans. You don't think that young person looks depressed beyond belief? You don't think that young person is struggling every day because now we put the weight of a community, a huge growing community, on the shoulders of a young person? Jazz is a young person. The surgeries that person had are pretty profound. I don't know if you've seen that person looks extremely depressed, has gained a massive amount of weight, which we know coincides with depression. Weight gain that's a fact. When you start giving somebody what is it called? Depression medicine, or all the medicine for helping yourself get moving forward, you gain weight. Anti anxiety medication, all of it. It makes you gain weight. You don't think Jazz looks completely 100% like something's not right? I do. And I say it all the time. I think it's disgusting that they put that family on the internet and put so much pressure on that young person to be a spokesperson for a community that will drop her in 2 seconds. You know that. Let's say this. Let's do this hypothetical. What if Jazz decided to detransition? Put that in your noggin for a minute. What if she decided to detransition? Yet she's the spokesperson for the trans community. What do you think would happen if all of a sudden Jazz came out and said, "You know what? I made the wrong choice. This isn't for me. I don't like this." I'm wondering. Here, let's see. What's this? Hello, the Got Milk really confuses the heck out. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. That's a whole other thing. A Got Milk is an adult, right? Totally their space. You know, I hear you. It confuses. What confuses me is trans guys who sort of do things that I wouldn't do, but it doesn't mean that it's not okay, if that makes sense, right? I would never dress in drag unless it was Halloween, and I would never have a baby. And those are two things that trans men tend to do now. And though trans men have been having babies for a long time, we never really spoke about it. But that being said, remember, we have to have a diverse community if we really talk about diversity. And if trans men want to have babies, go right the fuck ahead. But stop saying men get pregnant, and stop saying trans men have babies and all that, because no, they don't. 1 or 2 or 5 trans men are having babies. Great for them and good for them. But it's not a representation of our community, nor is it a representation of men. Men do not get pregnant. Trans men get pregnant. Non-binary people can get pregnant, but men don't get pregnant. Now, if I still had my uterus, I could have gotten pregnant. And I would have never said I'm a man pregnant. I would have said I'm a biological female who became a man who got pregnant. Big difference. Let's not lie to the world. You know what happens when you start lying to the world? They start pushing back on us. So when we start these sort of ideas that trans women are women, or trans men are men, or that men can get pregnant, or everybody has their period, or what are we doing? What is that accomplishing? You don't think it's disrespectful to other people, but do you care? You don't seem to care about, in any way, shape, or form, about hurting other people's feelings. You only care about your own feelings, and you only care about your own space, because you don't listen when people say, "Hey, wait a minute here. Men don't get pregnant, and I feel very uncomfortable with you saying that." And then you say, "You're transphobic." How is that helping anybody? It's not. Instead of you listening to what other people say, and it might be hurting their feelings, but how come their feelings don't count? How come only the tranny feelings account? How come only trannies get to say, "Hey, wait a minute, you're this. Hey, wait a minute, you're that"? No, it doesn't work that way, people. Other people are allowed to say, "I'm uncomfortable with this conversation." Other people are allowed to say, "No, you're wrong," whether you like it or not. And I'm going to tell you, I disagree. Men don't get pregnant. Trans men, non-binary, whatever the fuck else you want to call. But you came from a biological space. I see what you're all doing out there. I see it. You're trying to dismantle biology so you can say bullshit like that. Good luck. It ain't happening. All you're doing is throwing our rights back 100 million years. So leading into that and our rights, let's talk about these new laws that are passing, right? Which everybody calls transphobic. So let's just talk about Florida. Okay. Florida. Florida passed a law, was it last week or the week before, that says we're not going to allow gender transitioning for minors. Minors. It's not a transphobic law, people. Stop it. It's a pro-trans law. It means people care about us. It means they want us to do it right. That's what I want. I want it done right. The shit that's happening now is so sloppy, nasty, irresponsible. It is not helping trans medicine. You are ruining it. So Florida had to step up and say, wait a minute here, you're right. They didn't just like decide they're going to mark off on this. They had actual trans people there, actually gay people there, actual detransitioners there, all speaking to the board. It wasn't something that they just decided without any trans people. They made this choice by listening to people in our community, people who are for it and people who are against it. That's how you make a choice. You can't just make a choice off of one group of people. That's called bias. That's a bias. They didn't. They heard from everyone. They did their research. They looked at it. They made the right choice. It is not a transphobic law. It is a law so that we can figure out if there are children who actually have dysphoria, we need to figure it out in a way that says we can structure this so that children can move through this system without detransitioning later. The reason we have detransitioners is because we don't have control over, here in California where I live, oh my God. That's all I'm going to say. We are not doing a service to trans people when we just fling hormones, when we just fling surgery, when we just make it so accessible that anyone can do it without dysphoria. Can you imagine? Oh, sorry, because now I'm going to start slamming my thing. Can you imagine in any other space that is a disorder or a diagnosis? Can you name one space where you can walk into a doctor's office, say, I have cancer. I don't really have cancer, but I have cancer and I need cancer drugs. Could you give me those cancer drugs? And the doctor goes, sure. If you think you have cancer, here you go. Go on, my friend. That's actually what we're doing. We're actually doing that. Kids are walking into offices saying they're trans, and here you go. You don't see the absurdity of that? Then you're not paying attention. Oh, see you later, friend. Thanks for joining us. We're going to end here soon. And thank you guys all. I really appreciate this a lot. Here, wait, hold on. I'm a trans. If you have any stories, I'm sorry, I can't really watch that. But if you guys have any stories, Seth is here. You can send him a message or email me. The email is on the front of my channel, and I'll get you on the channel because I just want to keep. I want to tell you something really exciting. I'm going to tell you something really. There you go, right there. Seth just put the email. I love you too, my friend. Thank you. So I want to tell you something. There's so many just great things that are happening. I really feel the tide is turning. I feel like people are hearing us, and I want to thank all of you for helping me grow this channel. It's just been phenomenal. I can tell you that the 99% of the comments are incredibly positive. I haven't even been getting a lot of hate. I'm actually kind of shocked. There's not a lot of hate. There's a lot of love here. So yeah, see you later, my friend. So it's so fascinating to see that. I think that the tide is turning. And I think that people are starting to want to have this conversation. And I think people are seeing, that people like myself and many other, outspoken trans people are really coming to this with love in our hearts. We're not telling you, we don't want you to hate us, and we don't want you to hate kids, and we don't want you to hate people because they're trans. We're trying to clean up a mess. I see that we are hated more than ever now. I see that. And remember how long I've been around. I haven't felt hated more. God, I can't even remember the last time I felt so hated. It's scary. And so what I want to say is that, I started this, I started this, um, this live. I started this live on a note of, I think we need to start to encourage you to speak out. We can't have one narrative in this community. You have to understand how your voice is incredibly important in this, whether or not you agree, disagree, whatever angle you're coming at. If we don't start getting this idea of diversity, oh, thanks, kid. Thanks, my friend. I appreciate you a lot. Thank you, friend. If we don't start to understand what is this idea of diversity inclusion, because I don't see it. I don't know if you don't all see it, but what is diversity and inclusion if that's not actually happening, right? So I want to tell you this words are so easily manipulated, and words can be used in a way to make you feel a certain way, and words can be gaslit, and words can be very powerful. But what I want you to know is you're not losing your mind. You're not. This is actually happening. And also that when you speak up, the first time you do it, it's scary. But after you realize, why did I wait so long? What was I actually afraid of? There's nothing to be afraid of. You have to remember, this is the internet. I know. This is actually the internet. I can't even feel you. I can't even touch you. I can't do anything except blow words at you. That's it. That's it. So I learned how to maneuver through the hate and block people and get that negative insanity out of my face. And once I did that, it was as if all of you showed up because you're like-minded with me. Oh, thank you so much, my friend. That means a lot to me. You're like-minded. Thank you, friend. Thank you, Angela. You're like-minded like me. It doesn't mean we agree. Like-minded is not the same as agreeing with ourselves 110%. We probably disagree on some things here, maybe even our political spaces, but it doesn't mean we're not supposed to be in the same space, having a conversation and figuring out what is the future. Because right now I'm not happy for the future. Not only trans, gay, LGBT, whatever you want to call it. I don't see a future for us. I don't. Oh, thanks, Seth. I appreciate that too, my friend. You know, I don't do this for this, but it does help me a lot. And that being said, I've been very blessed with my life, and I've been very blessed with opportunity to speak out, and I've been very blessed with being able to grow a thick skin on some level and be able to push back on these people who don't want to have a conversation. They just want to tell you how it is and shut you down. That's not conversation, and I will not stand for it. And my purpose here is to encourage you to have conversation, to speak out, to say things that go against a narrative that don't align with you. That is actually the most positive, most powerful thing you could do right now where we are at. And I'm asking all of you to just start to step up. Doesn't matter how that is or what that is. Challenge a friend, challenge somebody. When someone says trans kids are kids, challenge that. When someone says, oh, my kid is trans, blah, 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 challenge that. Well, what do you mean your kid is trans? What does that mean? What are we doing here? What are you doing? They hate it. They hate it when you do that. Because why do you challenge them is what's in their brain. They're saying, I know what I'm doing is correct, so go fuck yourself. This is the way I'm going to do it. But what if you say, but wait a minute, why do you think that? I did it the other night at a panel and they all freaked out on me. That's my message, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to encourage all of us. Hey, Freya, nice to see you, my friend. Thanks for joining us. I'm here to encourage all of us. If we don't start to push back on a scary narrative, and I'm only here because of kids. I don't give a shit what an adult does. I will not step down from this place until I see children getting into a safe space and given the opportunity to figure out themselves before the adults decide who they are. That is my agenda, if you want to call it that. My agenda is to stop the transitioning of children, to get children into a safe space of mental health care, to give them the opportunity to grow up and make their own choices when those choices are needed and need to be made by them, not you. Doesn't matter if you like it or not. I'm not going to stop. And it doesn't mean I'm right and it doesn't mean you're wrong. It means I have a different opinion. Okay? That's what I'm going to leave you with. I appreciate every single one of you showing up, saying things, doing the work. Together, the positive change will be made. But I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. And those people have shut us down so hard that we need to come back powerful at this point, because we shouldn't be shut down. That is not the way it works. That's not the way I live. That's not the way you live. I don't live in a country that says I can't speak my mind. And that's going to happen if we don't start to speak up. Thank you, everybody, for joining me, and I'll see you soon, and look forward to some new video. Oh, we just posted a new one today. Please go check it out. Oh, it's very heartbreaking. It's a detransitioner. And, I know I'm platforming a lot of detransitioners, but it's important to me. And that's what I want people to see. I want people to see that, because the detransitioners are the one who are going to make change for all of us in a positive, healthy manner. And we must thank those detransitioners for having the balls, for having the bravery, for having the energy, for understanding their truth can help our truth. And together we will create a more positive, powerful, very stable community. Have an awesome day, everybody. I love you so much.